So X-Men Apocalypse is probably the most X-Men-y X-Men movie to ever come out. If that makes any sense to any of you. Before I start, I have to say I was super excited for this movie because I am just a huge X-Men fan, in case you couldn't tell by that, 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 those, or any of these. So yeah, I'm a huge X-Men fan, so this movie was made for me. Let's get into it. X-Men Apocalypse is directed by Bryan Singer and stars Michael Fassbender, Evan Peters, and Kodi Smit-McPhee. And that's all you need to know, because those guys steal the show. Evan Peters as Quicksilver once again has an amazing scene in the mansion. I'm not gonna spoil it, but it is so funny. That scene is funnier than any scene in Civil War. Sorry. It just is. And Nightcrawler, once again, is just an amazing character. He's funny, his action's great. This McPhee kid, he's really got this character down. The guy who steals the show, once again, is Michael Fassbender. Holy crap. He has the best scenes in the movie. He made me cry 3 times. Especially in that scene in the forest. I'm not gonna spoil what happens, but man, I teared up. I teared up so much. But that's sort of a negative in a way, because he's not the main villain. Apocalypse is the main villain, and when the villain's henchman sort of steals the spotlight from the main villain, it's sort of undermining, and it takes away the authority the villain has in the movie, which sucks. But I mean, Oscar Isaac, you did the best you could, I guess. Like, there's one scene where Magneto's getting in touch with his powers and having all these flashbacks, and I'm just bawling. And then Apocalypse just starts speaking over it. I'm like, no, shut up. He's having a moment. Shut up. Shut up. Yeah, and it was the same line we heard a million times in the trailer, so it didn't really matter. Yeah. The rest of the cast is good too. Like the new Jean and Scott, and they do fine. But the Horsemen are kind of underdeveloped. They don't have anything to do or say. Angel was cool, but he didn't do much. Psylocke, she was cool too, but she's had like maybe 3 lines. Speaking of people who don't have any lines, Jubilee, why is she in this movie? She doesn't do or say anything. She's just in the background. Why is there promotional material Jubilee when she's not even a character in this movie? Really? Why? I think the problem was, it's a weird problem to have, but they had too many interesting stories. They couldn't balance them all. It's a lot like Batman v Superman, which had a lot of interesting stories, but they couldn't balance all of the stories together too well. And they left some stories or characters underdeveloped, which is disappointing. But if you had to take away from the better stories to develop the not as good stories or characters, then I get why they did what they did, but I don't have to like it. Another similarity to Batman v Superman is the editing, specifically in the first 20 minutes. It's very jumpy. Its storyline is all over the place. There's like maybe 5 different stories they just jump between. They're interesting, but they just jump between all of them and try to juggle them all at once, and it's very confusing. And luckily they fixed that later on in the movie, but once all the stories converged, it was pretty much 2 different stories, and it was easier to balance. But for the first 20 minutes, I was like, dang, it's gonna be Batman v Superman again? And it wasn't, thank the Lord. Now, the tone, pretty consistent, dark with some jokes here and there, but there was one scene that felt really out of place. It was just there to give a giant middle finger to Brett Ratner. They're in like a mall or something, and they're walking out of a theater. They make a joke, and I'm just like, really? Really? Does that need to be in there? And it doesn't fit the tone of the rest of the movie. Like, this happening does not fit anywhere in the movie. It's just thrown in there randomly. I'm like, Brian, did you really have to put that in there? Really? Really? The Wolverine scene, I was looking forward to that. It was cool. It was violent, action, kind of short, but I liked it. And that's pretty much what I could say about the movie. Not being short, but it was super cool and I liked it. The action was great, characters are really interesting, emotionally invested, but there were structural problems that I could not ignore. That's why I have to give it an 8 out of 10. Psha! That's my power to make numbers appear in front of my face. Psha! Listen, if you're a huge X-Men fan like me, then you'll love this movie. You'll love the crap out of this movie. But if you're a casual moviegoer, just looking for another regular superhero movie, you might be a bit disappointed. But I think most people should enjoy this movie, because it's better than most superhero movies that come out nowadays. And I'd put it around the same level as X-Men 2. Better than the first X-Men, but not as good, not as much of a cinematic masterpiece as Days of Future Past or First Class was. But still, really good movie. Oh, that's all I got for you today. Comment what you thought about it if you've seen it. Like, and follow me on Twitter at RickyMiniMovie or Instagram at mini_movie_reviews. And have a nice day, you lovely people.